Hi, everybody. My name's Kathy. I'm from Laying Groundwork, and I am here today to talk about this whole idea of crossing the habits gap. So, it's this idea that when we decide for something that we want to either do less of or do more of, that we are generally trying to get from somewhere where we're not happy about to some place where we would be more happy about, right? I mean, that's kind of this gap kind of between where we are and where we want to be. So before we launch into some of the ways that we can work with this gap, let's first of all talk about habits. So one of my very favorite ideas comes from Confucius, and it's this idea that it's the habits that make us different from one another. So success, failure, whatever that is for you, has to do with our habits. And I think it's really important to recognize that we need to have habits. If we had to really think through every day things that we do habitually, i.e., brush your teeth, for example, take a shower, the stuff that we don't want to have to sort through the minutia of each day, we likely wouldn't get very much else done. Okay. So this idea of having habits, I mean, they're great because they save us a lot of time. They save us a lot of time and they allow us actually to devote energy and our expertise and our knowledge and our wisdom and our desires to things that we want to do, so, that we want things we want to learn that are new to us, right? And maybe establish different ways of being in the world. Okay. So a lot of times when we are thinking about trying to change something, we tend to think that if we want something bad enough, right? I really, really want this, whatever, fill in the blank, that will be enough to pull us through. And although it's really important to have a clear idea of what it is you want to accomplish or what it is you want to do, generally speaking, although it keeps that idea at top of mind for us, it's not enough to kind of pull us through the stuff that will get in the way, the things that are trying to keep us in the status quo. So what we have to do, of course, is to learn to understand ourselves well enough and work with our habitual ways of thinking and being in the world that we can begin to move the dial on changing some of these things. So what I want to do in the rest of our time together here is to talk about some of these really simple, just to introduce some really simple ideas around this strategy. Okay. So the first thing that we want to talk about is thinking differently. Okay. So there are many times that we think we have an idea of something that we really, really, really want. And at the same time, unless we already have that thing that we really want, there's all kinds of reasons that we don't have it. Okay, so this is kind of the canceling out of the yes. This is what it looks like, and this is the exercise that I want you to consider practicing. So, for example, think about something that you really want. Okay, by example, to use something I really want an attached greenhouse to my home. And then, and then the reasons that you don't have it. So in my case, I really want an attached greenhouse to my home, but it's a big construction project and it would be very expensive. So what essentially we have done with that but in the middle there, we have canceled out this thing that we have this big yes for. Okay, we've essentially said yes, but, and canceled all of the yes stuff out. So just by simply looking at that sentence structure and that thinking pattern, if we just simply took the but out and replaced it with and. So now we have, I really want a greenhouse attached to my home, and it would be a big construction project, and it would be very expensive. Okay. So instead of having something that negates out the idea of what it is I really want, now I simply have two different statements. I have this thing that I want, and I have the reasons that I don't currently have that thing. So what it allows me now to do is to be able to look at that and say, okay, so here's the fact. Here are the facts, right? Here's the thing. How can I go about working with this big construction project? How can I go about resourcing the project, getting enough money to be able to do it? So it takes some of the obstacle out of the way. Okay. Next thing that we really like to do is to, and I'm really, really good at this myself, which is why I can kind of see it in other people, is excuses and blame. And so this looks like many times procrastination. Okay. So it's the I will win as soon as then, if only, So this is giving our ability to act, our agency to outside people and outside circumstances, things outside of us that we generally have little to no control over. So I will do this when, right? So we're waiting for something out there in the world to change, some situation, some circumstance, or a person. Okay. If they would only act like this, then, right, kind of a thing. So we're waiting again. We've given our agency, our ability to act over to some kind of outside circumstance, situation, or person. Another thing that we're really good at is starting on Monday, starting tomorrow, starting at the beginning of the month, starting at the beginning of the year. So putting off starting. So my suggestion here is that you recognize that although you have a thing that you want to do, and maybe all of the resources are not in place, like you don't have healthier food in your refrigerator, for example. You don't have good shoes to go out for a walk in, whatever it is, that you simply make gathering those resources, getting that in place, part of starting. So you start now instead of putting it off. Okay, you start now. Gather the resources, make that a part of starting so that you don't have a reason anymore to put it off. Okay? All right. So another really simple but kind of really insidious thing is this whole idea of looking at what change costs. So we understand that when we change something, that it's going to cost something. Something's going to change and it's going to make us uncomfortable. So by cost, what we're talking about here is I'm going to have to maybe learn something new. It's going to take me some time. I'm going to have to get good at something that I'm not used to doing. It's gonna take time. Whatever the cost is. Maybe people in your life won't be supportive, and that might cost in a relationship. So whatever that is, recognizing that change costs something. The thing to compare it against is what does staying exactly where you are cost? What's it costing you? And really get clear about that. So rather than only comparing the benefits of where you want to be with how much the change will cost, also look at the cost of staying exactly where you are. What will that cost? And what will you regret more? Will you regret not trying, or will you regret perhaps not really succeeding? Which is the scenario that you are going to regret more at the end of the day. Okay. And then the final thing that we're going to talk about here is the 10-minute challenge. And so this is kind of a fun one. I use this one quite a bit because it is really easy to come up with excuses to not do whatever it is you want to do. Like a big project at work, let's say, or getting started with going out for a walk, or whatever it happens to be for you. That it just seems like a big project, and you're like thinking, well, I'm just really not feeling it today. Whatever the reason that you're coming up with. So the 10-minute challenge is to recognize that if you just start and just say, okay, I'm going to do this thing, whatever this thing is, I'm going to do it for 10 minutes. And if after 10 minutes I still am not feeling well, I'm still really tired, it's just not going well, I don't have enough information to do this project, whatever it is, then you have permission to stop. But 99.9% of the time, once you get started, you keep on going, right? You keep on going. So the idea here is just to give yourself a small amount of time that most of us can commit to and just get started. Okay. All right. So I hope that you have found some of this material helpful, useful, and I hope you will use it and try it. And please look for more content. I'm going to be producing more of these videos and really hope that you will come back and watch and share these with me. And do me a big favor and please share and like and subscribe to this channel. Thank you so much. Take good care.